So far, there are total approximately 300 different amino acids are there in the nature. Out of these 300 amino acids, only 20 amino acids are there which can be classified as a standard amino acids, right. Rest all amino acids, they are classified as a non-standard amino acids. Now, what makes this 20 amino acid as a standard amino acid? All these 20 amino acids we had discussed in the previous lecture, right. So, now the question is, what makes these 20 amino acids as a standard amino acid? So, to understand that why they are called as a standard, we have to understand one thing, that proteins are synthesized based on the message on the mRNA. Suppose this is the mRNA, right. This is 5 prime to 3 prime end. And from this mRNA, based on the message on this mRNA, by the process of translation, protein gets synthesized. So, this is a protein chain, and protein is simply a polymer of amino acid, right. So, there are triplet codons are there on this mRNA, and based on each triplet codon which specifies which particular amino acid. So, this triplet codon specifies amino acid 1, this triplet codon specifies amino acid 2. So, those amino acid which are specified by this triplet codon, those amino acid, they are considered as a standard amino acids, right. We can understand this concept from the second angle also. So, you can say that standard amino acids are those amino acids which are incorporated into the protein chain during the process of translation. Okay. So now we understand that what is standard amino acid. That means non-standard amino acid, there can be a two possibility. The one possibility is that these amino acids are never incorporated into the protein. That means they are lying free, they are wandering free in the biological system. Those can be the non-standard amino acid, right. Those amino acid which can never be found in the protein. Second, or if they are not free, then the second condition may be, it may be found in the protein, but they are not incorporated during the process of translation. Okay, that amino acid can also be classified as a non-standard one. So, that means amino acid, they are found in the protein, but they are not inserted into the protein during the process of translation. So, what is the possibility that why then these amino acids are found in the protein? So, let us understand this concept by one example. The example is of the hydroxylysine. Now, this hydroxylysine is a non-standard amino acid, okay, non-standard amino acid, and it is found in one protein, that is collagen. This collagen is the protein. So, if during the synthesis of collagen, if hydroxylysine is not inserted, then how hydroxylysine appears? So, see, suppose this is a collagen protein, okay. So, during the translation, lysine is getting inserted into this protein. Later on, what happens? Now, translation is complete. Then, once translation is complete, what happens? This lysine, it gets hydroxylated, and it is, this lysine is converted into hydroxylysine, right. So, we can find this hydroxylysine into the protein. Does hydroxylysine inserted during the process of translation? No. So, why it is appearing? It is appearing because of the post-translational modification, right. So, we can summarize that standard amino acids are those amino acids which are incorporated into the protein during the process of translation, whereas non-standard amino acids are those amino acids which can be never found in the protein. So, they are lying free, or they are found in the protein, but they are because of the post-translational modification, right. So, now I hope that what is standard amino acid and what is non-standard amino acid, that is clear to you. So, now let us take our discussion further. We have till now, we have 20 different amino acids, right, 20 different standard amino acids. In recent time, 2 more amino acids are added into this list, into the list of standard amino acid. So, that makes total 22 standard amino acids. Okay. Now, there is one problem. to consider these 2 amino acid as a standard amino acid. What is that problem? Let's try to understand. We know that we have 64 standard codons. Now, we all know what is codon. Codon is the triplet nucleotide onto the mRNA. Out of this 64 codon, 3 codons that are UAG, UGA and UAA, these 3 are stop codons. That means there are no any amino acids for these 3 codon, right? Rest 61 codons, 64 minus 3, that makes 61 codons. This 61 codons codes for the 20 standard amino acids. Now, this addition of two standard amino acid. So, which codon will code for this extra 2 amino acids? Okay. So, that we have to understand. So, what are these 2? What are the names of these 2 extra 2 standard amino acids, right? So, 21st amino acid is seleноcysteine, and 22nd amino acid is pyrrolysine. Remember, out of this 20 amino acid, there is no any first, second, third, it is just a 20 amino acid. But as these 2 are recently identified, this 21st amino acid is the seleноcysteine and 22nd amino acid is a pyrrolysine. Let us first understand about the seleноcysteine. This is our 21st amino acid. Okay. Now, how the question is, all these 61 codons are reserved for 20 standard amino acids. So, how seleноcysteine will appear into the protein? And remember, we are calling this amino acid as a standard amino acid. That means, this seleноcysteine is incorporated into the protein during the process of translation. Okay. So, let us see how seleноcysteine is inserted into the protein. So, for that the codon which specifies this seleноcysteine, it is the UAG. This codon, UGA, this codon specifies the seleноcysteine. So, suppose this is the mRNA, this is the 5' end. So, this is UGA code on the mRNA, right? So, by definition, this is the stop codon. So, there should not be any tRNA which can identify this, right? Because why? Because this is the termination codon. So, whenever on the mRNA this occurs, at that point termination of protein chain occurs. But surprisingly, there is one tRNA is there. This is that tRNA, and this tRNA comes with many twists. Okay. So, suppose this is the tRNA and this is the 3' end and this is the 5' end, and on the 3' end we know that amino acid binds. So, this square is the amino acid. This has an anticodon arm which can recognize this UGA codon. Okay. This is the tRNA, and this tRNA, on the first twist is that there should not be any tRNA which can identify the UGA codon, but this tRNA has an anticodon arm which is complementary to this UGA codon, right. That is the first twist. Second twist, this is bound with the serine. This serine is one of the standard amino acid. So, serine is bound to this tRNA. The second twist is that although this anticodon and this codon both are complementary to each other, there is no any possible bonding. Okay. This anticodon arm will not bind with this codon in spite of having complementary site. That is the second twist about this tRNA. So, this tRNA is a special one. So, later on what happens, there is one enzyme in our body, there is one enzyme is there, the name of enzyme is the selenophosphate synthetase. Selenophosphate synthetase, and this enzyme is a ATP dependent enzyme. It will utilize high energy bond from the ATP and break it down to ADP plus PI, and by getting the energy it is able to incorporate selenium into this serine. Okay. So, this selenium is one of the essential trace element trace element, okay, that we require in our diet. Now, this serine, if you remember the structure of serine, we will only talk about its side chain R. In the side chain R, in the serine, we have CH2OH. It is a hydroxyl group containing amino acid. By the action of this selenophosphate synthase, by utilizing ATP, it is able to incorporate the selenium into this serine. So, what this enzyme will do? This oxygen will get replaced with the selenium. So, now the side chain will be R CH2. Instead of oxygen, there is a selenium which is bound with the hydrogen. And whenever this side chain is there, we call that amino acid as a selenocysteine. So, now let us see what will be the picture. So, I will draw this mRNA plus tRNA, but now by this action of this enzyme, instead of serine, I will write selenocysteine. So, we have this mRNA, here we have UGA code, this is 5 prime, this is 3 prime, this is tRNA. My drawing is bad, but I hope that message will be clear to you, message is clear to you. So, now this is the 3 prime end, this is the 5 prime end, and here which amino acid will be bind? It will be selenocysteine. It is selenocysteine. Why? Because this enzyme has replaced oxygen from the serine and replaced it with the selenium. Okay. So, now we have selenocysteine, there is an anticodon arm, this is a codon, both are complementary to each other. Now, will they able to bind? No, they are still not able to bind. Now, what more is required to get this binding? So, to get it binding, so let us suppose that for a moment just think that if by this much modification, if this stop codon is able to bind with this tRNA, then what will happen? All the UGA codon, all the stop codon wherever UGA occurs, at that time selenocysteine will be inserted, right? It will never act like a stop codon, but in reality that is not the fact. So, there must be some peculiarity about the UGA codon. That means, not all the UGA codon will able to incorporate selenocysteine, but UGA codon, when it occurs at some specialized location, at that time only selenocysteine should be incorporated. So, most of the time what happens, UGA codon will act as a stop codon, it will terminate the protein synthesis. But whenever UGA codon occurs in combination on specialized structure on this mRNA, what is that specialization structure? That on the 3 prime side of the mRNA. So, this is the 3 prime side of the mRNA. At this location, when there is a formation of stem loop structure, so this is a stem and loop structure, and this is 3 prime end. So, this is the stem and this is the loop. So, when the stem loop structure occurs, stem loop structure occurs on the 3 prime untranslated region of this mRNA, at that time only this UGA codon will able to bind with this specialized tRNA. Okay. So, what happens? This stem loop structure helps this UGA codon to make a bond with this tRNA. So, now in such scenario, your UGA codon will bind with the anticodon arm of this specialized tRNA. So, now selenocysteine will be able to incorporate into the protein, right. So, one thing is clear that not all the UGA codon will act as a selenocysteine insertion point. It will act as a selenocysteine insertion point only when on the 3 prime side of untranslated region of mRNA, there is a occurrence of stem loop structure. At that time only this UGA codon will act as a selenocysteine insertion point. Rest every place this UGA codon will act as a stop codon. So, because of this stem loop structure's specialized function, this is also known as selenocysteine insertion element. Selenocysteine insertion element. So, from SE we can write SE, for C this is C, I and S, IS element. Its short form is Sakis element, okay, or long form is selenocysteine insertion element, okay. And as you can see, the second thing, as you can see this UGA codon as such it acts as a stop codon, But whenever the context in which UGA codon is there, it is important. That means when UGA codon occurs in context with the Sakis element, it incorporates selenocysteine. So, can we say it as a context dependent coding reassignment? Initially it was coding for the stop codon, right? But when the context is different, it is modifying itself. Its code is reassigned. Reassigned to what? Reassigned to selenocysteine. So, this phenomena, it can also be called as a context dependent coding reassignment, right? So, this is how selenocysteine is inserted into the protein. So, we can see that selenocysteine is inserted during the protein synthesis translation only. So, that is why we call the selenocysteine as a standard amino acid, as a 21st standard amino acid. Now, you may ask that why we are discussing so much about selenocysteine. So, see, selenocysteine, whenever it occurs in the protein, this selenocysteine plays a very big role in the function of that particular protein. Why? Because whenever selenocysteine is there in any protein, most of the time that protein's function is related to the redox reaction, reduction oxidation reactions. And most of the time it always occurs on the active site of that protein, active site of that protein. So, whenever selenocysteine occurs in the protein, it has very big responsibility. That protein's function is dependent on this very important molecule, right? What are the examples of protein which can contain selenocysteine? So, as I told you, most of the time they are related with the redox reaction. So, examples are thioredoxin reductase. Second example is glutathione reductase, glutathione peroxidase. Then we have deiodinase. This enzyme converts T4 hormone to T3 hormone, that is thyroid hormone. Then we have glycine reductase, and we have selenoprotein P. All this protein, whenever in protein the selenocysteine occurs, we collectively call such protein as a selenoprotein. Selenoproteins. So, all these are examples of selenoprotein. Out of this selenoprotein P, it contains 10 selenocysteine elements, 10 selenocysteine amino acid in its structure, okay? And all of these enzymes, all of these proteins are related with the oxidation reduction reactions. Now, there is one important applied aspect also of this protein, applied aspect. In the northeast China, there is a low soil content of the selenium. So, that area's population contained low selenium level, and as I told you that selenium is the essential trace element. It is must required in our diet, obviously in the trace quantity, but it is must. And main source is from the soil. From the soil it goes to the water, and from the water we can get it. But as this northeast China's soil content of selenium is very, very low, what happened? 30-40 years back, there was epidemic of Coxsackie bee virus infection. Coxsackie bee virus infection. Normally, Coxsackie bee virus infection, it is not virulent. It is not very much virulent. But whenever low selenium content is there in the blood, along with the Coxsackie bee virus infection, it leads to congestive cardiomyopathy. So, simply put, selenium deficiency associated with Coxsackie bee virus infection, it can lead to congestive cardiomyopathy, and which is a cause of high mortality. It can lead to high death rate or high mortality. And this syndrome, this disease is known as Keshan disease. Keshan disease. So, this is one of the very important applied aspect of this selenocysteine. Similarly, let us discuss about 22nd amino acid also, and the name of 22nd amino acid is the pyrrolysine, and this pyrrolysine, it was identified into the 2002. Now, we had seen in the selenocysteine that UGA, this top codon, is coding for this selenocysteine, okay. But for the pyrrolysine, another stop codon is used, and that is UAG. So, pyrrolysine, to insert it into the protein, the codon which is getting utilized is the UAG codon. Now, again UAG is the stop codon. So, most of the time it will act as a stop codon. But again, just like selenocysteine, there is some peculiarity in this UAG codon that makes this UAG codon to code for the pyrrolysine. So, here again this is the second example of the context dependent coding reassignment. But here what is the context? What specialization in this UAG codon makes the tRNA to insert pyrrolysine, that is not known, okay. So, you can say it in other words that not all, but only certain UAG can code for the pyrrolysine, but what is that specificity, it is not known, okay. But yes, some things are found that the tRNA which codes for the pyrrolysine, the tRNA which carries pyrrolysine, it has some peculiarity. So, the tRNA which carries this pyrrolysine, its D loop, we know that there is a D loop into the structure of tRNA, right. So, the D loop, it contains 5 residue, it contains only 5 residues, whereas normally this D loop contains 8 residues, 8 nucleotide residues, right. The second peculiarity is that anticodon stem of this tRNA, it contains 6 base pairs, whereas normally there are 5 base pairs. And T psi C loop, we also know that there is a T psi C loop in the structure of tRNA. This T psi C loop, normally it contains T psi C sequence of nucleotide in its structure, but here it lacks T psi C sequence, okay. So, this was all about standard and non-standard amino acid plus 21st and 22nd amino acid. 21st is the selenocysteine and 22nd is the pyrrolysine. I tried my best to explain why these both amino acids are known as standard amino acids. So, if you have any query or confusion, please write it down in the comment section below. Thank you.